What if the biggest change in Iraq isn't happening in headlines, but underneath the system itself? What if the real story isn't rumors, hype, or secret meetings, but a financial transformation happening in plain sight? Welcome back to Global Currency World. If you come here for grounded analysis, real signals, and no hype, take a quick second to like and subscribe because today's update matters. Over the last 24 to 48 hours, Iraq has shown something very different. Not a magical overnight event, not a rumor, not a mystery announcement. What we are seeing is coordinated movement across politics, banking, trade, and digital infrastructure all happening at the same time. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why many people believe Iraq may be entering a completely different phase. Let's begin. The big picture. First, let's zoom out. If you've followed Iraq for years, you already know one thing. Progress in Iraq never happens in a straight line. There have been delays, political fights, oil disputes, corruption issues, and banking problems. That's reality. But here's what feels different today. The problems that slowed Iraq down are finally being addressed at the same time. Politics, banking, trade, digital systems, government coordination. Instead of moving separately, these pieces are beginning to move together. That matters because real transformation doesn't happen from one announcement. It happens when systems begin connecting. And right now, that convergence is becoming hard to ignore. Political stability. Let's start with politics because without stability, nothing else works. One of Iraq's biggest problems for years was political friction. Too many competing interests, too much delay, too much uncertainty. But the new government appears to be moving differently. Instead of spending months settling in, officials are already focusing on financial reform, coordination, and economic planning. High-level meetings between Baghdad and Kurdish leadership are also happening more consistently. Why does that matter? Because political cooperation creates room for economic reform. No country modernizes its financial system during constant political chaos. And for now, Iraq looks more coordinated than it has in years. That doesn't mean perfect, but it does mean functional, and functional systems move forward. 4. Iraq's banking system. Now let's talk banking because this may be one of the biggest developments. For years, Iraq's banking system was considered outdated and difficult to integrate internationally. That had to change. And now, international audits are nearing completion for some of Iraq's largest banks. Why is that important? Because internationally compliant banks can connect with global finance. They can work with foreign institutions, support trade, handle international transactions, and build trust. Reports also suggest upcoming coordination involving Iraq's central bank, international advisors, and U.S. financial institutions. That tells us something simple. Iraq's banking reforms are no longer theoretical. They are active. The dinar plus central bank. Now let's talk about the dinar. And I want to be careful here because facts matter. I'm not giving dates. I'm not promising timelines. What we do know is this. The Central Bank of Iraq has repeatedly emphasized monetary stability. Officials continue talking about strengthening the financial system and reducing pressure from unofficial currency markets. What does that mean? It means Iraq is trying to build confidence. Stable systems attract investment. Stable systems improve trade. Stable systems create stronger financial foundations. And whether you're optimistic or skeptical, that foundation matters. Digital transformation. This next part may be one of the most underrated stories. Digital transformation. Iraq is pushing hard toward electronic payment systems and financial modernization. The central bank recently expanded meetings with payment companies to improve services and increase financial inclusion. In simple terms, less cash, more transparency, better tracking, faster systems. Government institutions are also moving toward digital upgrades, including legal and administrative services. Why does this matter? Because modern economies run on digital rails. You cannot compete globally using outdated systems forever, and Iraq appears serious about modernizing. Trade and non-oil growth. Now let's talk trade, because Iraq knows one major truth. An economy cannot depend on oil forever. That's why diversification matters. Customs revenue and non-oil activity are growing. Trade corridors are expanding. Border crossings are reopening. Transport systems are improving. And Iraq is positioning itself as a regional trade connector. Why is that important? Because diversified economies are stronger economies, and stronger economies support stronger financial systems. This is long-game thinking, not hype. Structure. Energy and industry. Another major shift, energy strategy. Instead of simply exporting raw resources, Iraq is pushing toward higher value industries. Officials are discussing reducing waste, improving infrastructure, and creating more industrial output. In plain English, instead of selling raw materials only, Iraq wants to process and produce more value internally. That creates jobs, builds industries, attracts investment, and reduces economic vulnerability. This is what long-term economic planning looks like. Why this feels different? Now here's the real question. Why does this moment feel different? Because for the first time in a long time, multiple systems are moving together. Political coordination, banking reform, digital infrastructure, trade expansion, economic diversification. These are not isolated stories anymore. They are connected. And when major systems begin aligning at the same time, momentum becomes real. Does that guarantee a timeline? Number. Does it mean tomorrow? Number. But it does suggest Iraq is further along than many people realize. Here's the takeaway. Stay informed. Stay grounded. Watch the real signals, not rumors. Pay attention to banking reform, trade growth, government coordination, financial modernization. Those are the developments that matter. At Global Currency World, we focus on facts, structure, and real analysis, not hype. If today's breakdown helped you understand the bigger picture, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone tired of the noise. Because when real change happens, preparation matters. Stay calm, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next update right here on Global Currency World.